Welcome to lesson 2, question 1 of the workbook. Consider triangle A with sides marked as 3 different lengths, triangle B with a right angle and its legs marked congruent, triangle C with 2 sides marked congruent, and triangle D with all 3 sides marked congruent. Based on the markings shown, match each triangle with its correct classification. Okay, so to recap, when you're looking at markings, in math, they are called tick marks. So that is called 1 tick because that's 1 small line. This is 2 ticks because there's 2 small lines, and this is 3 ticks because it's 3 small lines. What it indicates is it's indicating that this is a length, and since this is a 1 tick side length and this has 2 ticks to represent to mark its side length, they are different because their tick marks do not match. Now if I were to look for matching side lengths, I would say, okay, the side length that is marked with a 1 tick is going to be the same length as other side lengths that have tick marks that have just one tick mark. So this side length, since it's a 1 tick, and this side length, since it's a 1 tick, even though they're in different triangles, that's okay. They are going to be the same length. Same with this, since it's a 1 tick, it's going to be the same length. So if we're talking about matching which sides are going to be the same length, this has a 2 tick line, so that every other side that has 2 ticks is going to be the same length, and that's how they indicate same side lengths in own triangles and between triangles. So since this side length has 3 tick marks, 1, 2, 3, and this side length has 3 tick marks, it's going to be the same length all around. So now that we have just a basic understanding of what tick marks mean, when we're identifying what kind of triangle it is, we are looking just at the individual triangle. So if you aren't able to remember what the different types of triangles are, I would highly recommend just going to the very top again and opening up the key terms so that it's the vocab. So we have isosceles triangles, a triangle with at least 2 congruent sides. So just based off of that and an understanding of what the tick marks represents, we're going to be looking for a triangle that has sides with at least 2 sides that have the same tick mark. So if you notice, triangle B has this side length with 1 tick mark and this side length with 1 tick mark. That does indicate congruency. So this is, triangle B is an isosceles triangle. Is there another isosceles triangle? Yes, there is triangle C. Since this side is marked with 2 tick marks and this side is marked with 2 tick marks, that does mean that they are congruent. So triangle C is an isosceles. And if you look, there's only an option to select isosceles once, and since we selected it for triangle B, maybe there's a more specific classification we could look at triangle B, because it does have a right angle. So maybe it is an isosceles and it is a right angle, so it is a right isosceles triangle. So triangle C is an isosceles. I do want to point out that triangle D is an isosceles triangle as well, because their definition is with at least 2. So there could be more than 2 sides that are congruent, and so triangle D could be an isosceles. There could be a more specific classification for it though. So I'm just scanning through and I'm looking for a triangle. So this says equilateral triangle, a triangle with 3 congruent sides. So I'm looking for tick marks that indicate all 3 sides are congruent. So triangle D has all 3 sides with 3 tick marks. So that does mean that it is an equilateral triangle. Now, Looking at the other options, it's based on the markings shown. So obtuse means I would have to have an angle to know if it's an obtuse. Equiangular means I would have to know if all of the angles are indicated, which none of them are, so I cannot choose equiangular. Acute also depends on an angle, so I cannot choose an acute. Possibly scalene. What does scalene mean? So I'm going to click scalene triangle. It says a triangle that has no congruent sides. So each of triangle A's sides are marked differently. One has a 1 tick mark. That means it is a different measure from the side length that has 2 tick marks. And that means it is also a different measure from the side length that has 3 tick marks. So triangle A is a scalene. So that's how I would use the key terms for definitions to answer this question. I hope that helps.